So here's the deal. I need this to come off of this. But before we can do that, I gotta get this put back on that, because that is gonna lift this aluminum bed and then set it back onto the 2500. The continuity wasn't the best on this intro, but it's chaos every day, all day. You're gonna love it. We've got to be close to replacing every single hose on this machine. There's gonna be a point where this stops happening. I feel like it should at least be on the dipstick. Look at this oasis over here, huh? Everything we're doing today is in an effort to eventually get more material up here, because we're going to be back on this next video after, I think. Oh yeah, I'm excited. So we're just leaving the bucket down here because I don't need it up there, and I think I'm going to use the boom as a crane to set these beds. Well, it'll just be in the way anyway. I need to take the water tank back up today too, so we can top it back off, be ready for the next round of concrete and mortar. So here's the deal. I got this truck about a year ago. It's got a full 8-foot bed on it. It is a 2500 with the crew cab. Yep. I paid $6,500 for it. The cab, minus the traditional Chevrolet rot right there. The frame, the 6.0 gasser, the bumpers, everything there is solid. This, you can tell, I don't know if the paint difference shows up on camera, but this was a replacement bed that he had put on. There's quite a bit of rot on it. The bottom side looks terrible. The tailgate's all askewed and messed up, and I got it for a decent price because of the shape of the bed. But I wasn't worried about the shape of the bed, because ever since I got it, I had the vision. I wanted to put an aluminum landscape bed on that truck, and I've been looking forever. Before I was looking for beds for the dump truck, so technically this project came first. I'll give you a little walk around. It's all aluminum, the frame, everything underneath, everything folds down, so you can just drop all the sides if you want to. If you want to set, you know, some pallets from the side, a fella can certainly do that. It's got a headache rack, very fancy. It had some, I think there was lights at some point. I don't know, it doesn't matter. They're not there now. Some sweet lawnmower decals. Some people pay extra for that. It's had some weld repairs to it. No big deal. The latches work though. That's the major part. And of course she's got some cosmetics, but we're just gonna add to that in the long run. The only big issue is right there. I wouldn't even call that a big issue. That is the only thing about it. It doesn't have a spot for a fifth wheel to go through. And I do have a fifth wheel on this truck. How well you can see up in there. So that's something we're gonna kind of have to figure out. We got a lot to figure out on this thing, but step one is gonna be getting this thing up to the house. $1,200 delivered here. I forgot to tell you that part. I paid $1,200 for that thing, delivered to Dirt Perfect's lot, and Dirt Perfect was nice enough to let me use his loader to offload it. And I don't know if he knows this, but he's nice enough to let me use it to put it on my truck too. I love it already. Just strap it down. Heck, run it like that. Check out the bottom side real quick. Give you a little peep. All aluminum, everything. I don't know what, I've never seen one of these before. You think that'll ride on the way up to the house? It's not that far. Only slid back a few inches. Not too bad. Okay. Let's see if we can figure out how to get this rig off here, I suppose. Luckily, I've got this here fork extender. It looks very similar to a pallet. You know, I paid big money for this to be a fork extender for sure. That's exactly what this is. My fancy fork extender's not centered. You gotta center your fork extender. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that'll do. Just need to throw a strap on there. Oh yeah, now we got her. Well, next step is see if we can get this thing off of here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the tailgate just so I'm not fighting it whenever we go to offload it. We are gonna sell this bed too once it comes off. The bottom's pretty shot though, so we're not gonna sell it for much. We're gonna sell it for more when we get it at the scrap yard, if we just hauled it in, but. So we've got one there. And one there, should be the same on the other side as well. And then we should have some towards the front as well. We'll see how well these come off. It's almost a straight shot for an impact. Go ahead and use this side. This is, oh, where are you guys at? How you doing? We got the fancy high impact chrome. I pay extra. I have all my impact stuff chromed. We're just gonna break whatever's up there and I'm fine with it. We're gonna get new bolts for everything. Let's try the breaker bar first. You get all those extensions on there, it takes quite a bit of the bite from that impact out. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's fine. The one directly above you broke off. Fine, no problem. We're on this one here now. If you're wondering the level of fun at this point in the project, check my notes. Looks like an 11. I think I missed a decimal point. I believe that's a 1.1. Oh. Well, that one's already broken. Well, that's good. Thank you, Mother Nature. So there's supposed to be one right there. You can see that's broken off. And then that one is remaining right there. And that's one we're going to go for now. Oh, she popped loose. Of course. It's just free spinning, living its best life. That one's just gonna come right out like it's nothing. Wish it would have a little chat with its friends. Wish they all did that. That microphone's getting ready to die, but went ahead and put the safest setup possible. We're just gonna give this the old razzle dazzle because it's about the only access I got. We're gonna see what happens. So aside from the wiring, I think the last thing holding this up, you see these fifth wheel chain hooks? Well, they're supposed to, there we go, pop up like that. That's what they look like from the top side. And from the bottom side, that's what they look like. So we got to get those nuts off of those chain hooks. I got this super fancy strap set up. No way that's going to fail. I'm sure it's perfectly balanced. I got the lights unconnected. I'll show you how those go once we get the bed off. And I don't know if anything else is connected, so we'll just kind of go slow at first and see what happens. You know, really get her balanced out good. Okay. It's looking good. I think we're completely free of everything. I think we're hanging right there on that corner. Yeah. And how do I get in now? I'm sure this is safe. Yeah. Slide our counterweight back a little bit. Everything's looking good underneath. We just got to watch this corner catching on that bumper a little bit, but I think we're pretty free. I'm also just really watching that back glass too, making sure we're not, I mean, we shouldn't be able to get into it, but gosh dang it, crazier things have happened. Don't know what that was. Guess we'll see in the footage. Well, here's what we look like in here. I mean, there's definitely some surface rust. We got some of these spots like this. I wouldn't call her perfect by any means, but we're gonna take to the needle scaler and the grinder, and we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup and see if we can't paint this frame up real quick while we're working on her. Let me look at a couple things real quick. I'm not 100% sure how this is going to sit on here. It could be a real problem right there. So we've got some figuring to do on the aluminum frame. It's 38 wide outside to outside. This is 42 wide outside to outside. On the front, 42 outside to outside. And these brackets are 50 outside to outside. We're gonna lose the fifth wheel. It's made the decision. I don't think I want it. I haven't used it. And we'll probably put a fifth wheel on the dump truck over there because we're turning that into a flatbed instead of a dump truck. So we can just take this hitch off this truck and probably, with some modification, get it to work over on that truck, and that should work out really well. There's no way, but we'll try it. Yeah, it was nice to entertain it. Looks like my battery's done. Remember, don't use an impact on your ratchets, tears them up. With a tap from a hammer, it should pop off. Hopefully we could repurpose this thing over here somehow. We could probably do a whole episode just trying to get this ball free. we're gonna clean this whole thing up and paint it. And it's not gonna be the most fun I've ever had. I've been thinking about a solution, how I wanna build the brackets, and I think I came up with what's gonna be the easiest, simplest, and probably strongest method, but I gotta pick up a little steel for it. So I'm gonna finish the rest of the day needle scaling, wire wheeling, wiping down, and maybe with a little bit of luck, even getting at least one coat of paint on it. This is what we're using. It's a needle scaler. There's a little hammer action device thing happening here. I don't know, some kind of magic and wizardry. And these little things just beat the crap out of everything. And there's a lot to be beaten here. All right, let's see if we can go ahead and get this dropped. I got a jack underneath. My jack doesn't have any pressure yet though. That could be a problem. Okay, now we have pressure on there. Hopefully she balanced somewhat decent. The lines are disconnected except for some electrical. Okay, that's one strap. So that side, that tab just hangs in a little bracket like that. That side bolts up, is sitting like that. Now those out of the way, we should be able to control lower this. Making sure, yeah, I think we're clear of everything. Just trying to hold her somewhat balanced as we go here. So there's one end on the ground, that's good. Okay, we're all the way down to the jack. Yep, pull the jack out. There we go. All right, can you hear me with this? Who knows? A little bit more grinding, or flap wheeling, I suppose. So it's the next day. I just went around with a drill and a wire thing on the drill to get all the little nooks and crannies. I really need to get these things off of here. You would have thought that would have worked better. I mean, I'm not trying to save the bolt. Would you quit that? Just for fun, I practiced just trying to wash the nut on that one. Do a little different. Washing the nut is when you just try to cut the nut off, but save the bolt. So sometimes it comes in handy. You'd have to clean her up with a tap for sure, or a die, I suppose. But fun to practice. So I went and picked up some steel this morning from our local steel shop. Maybe. We use Don's Automotives in Tell City. They're just good to work with. Plus the guy that owns it lives here where we live in this little town, so it's kind of nice. I didn't want to get fancy on the engineering of any of this or building bracket. So I figure we'll just do some tubing pieces, lay them across where the previous bed was bolted down, and we can bolt those on there, and then we can set the bed right on the tubing. This, we're gonna try to repair this cross member. I'll show you why in a second. Since there's some heavy rust on some of these components that go across, I feel like this is just strengthening me up maybe a little bit. I'm not an engineer, but an engineer thought this really cool cutout here, tucked up under this member here, would not allow corrosion. You know, they thought that being tucked up in there tight would be a good thing. So I think not being an engineer is okay sometimes. So I need to come in here and mark that hole on each of these. Well, I took measurements and I had them pre-cut the overall length for me. And we're just gonna center it up on the bracket. We're gonna use the handy dandy drill press station in the off-grid shop. We're going to try and reinforce this a little bit by welding a piece of tubing onto it. I will tell you this for sure, it has certainly escalated beyond what I had prepared myself for mentally. So I'm not going to lie, I'm not as in it as I was a few days ago. Well, sometimes we just got to dig deep and smile through the pain, just push on. So I was getting ready to put a whole bunch of work in to try to make some tubing work to reinforce this thing, but they sell this replacement on eBay anywhere from 60 to 80 bucks for a brand new one. Probably because by the design, I'd say it's a pretty common problem. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the right thing, and we're just going to ignore it for a little bit longer. We're going to keep going with the bed project. So we're going to go ahead and get our cross members cleaned up and primed. Going to use a real fancy paint station over here. Little degreaser first. Make sure we get everything off of there. And then we'll do it with some acetone after that. We're using the fanciest of clearance paint brushes and the good old tractor equipment enamel primer. Brushing it on so we can just get her super thick. Not worried about finish. No truck shows in the future of this thing. Be fun though, wouldn't it? I like this primer because it smells like it means business. It smells like they painted battleships with it, you know? It's got the good stuff in it. Oh, excuse me. Well, there's the first coat. And I'm betting by the time we're done with the next step, we'll be good for a recoat. So next step, we're gonna degrease this whole frame and everything we've got going on, obviously with the exception of the cross tube there in the middle. You know, I'm thinking while we're doing this and we're replacing the cross tube, it just seems like a good idea to go ahead and replace those struts because we're gonna have to take them off anyway, or shocks perhaps is what they're technically called. We gotta take them off anyway to replace that. So maybe I should get some of those coming as well. We are gonna cut this exhaust out at some point too because I've just never really liked it. I'm not one for loud exhaust. I kind of like to hear what the truck's doing. That way if something's getting ready to explode, I can hear it. But we're gonna go through and degrease things. I've got a little pry bar we're scraping anymore if we need to. We've also got the drill with the wire tip or wire brush on the end of the drill too, so we can kind of touch up some spots as we go. The next step on the truck frame itself is gonna be rubbing it down with the acetone now. Just trying to get it as clean as possible before we start brushing all the OSFO on there. But it's been long enough wiping that down with the pre-clean that we should be able to go ahead and do a second coat of primer on these tubes. So I think you can definitely start to see a difference in the frame. The next step is what's called OSFO. Stops rust, prepares rusted surfaces for painting. It is orthophosphoric acid solution mixture. Right out of Cleveland, Ohio. Don't they just make the best stuff in Cleveland? Anywho, a fella just paints this on like you would paint. They say you can paint right over it whenever you're done, which is what I normally do. So I normally just brush this stuff on. I had some people suggest spraying it, and I thought that would be pretty handy and fast, but then a few people said, but if you spray it, it can't be good to inhale, which is probably true. So if you do spray it, Probably a lot of protective clothing and some good don't breathe it in. That's what a fellow's trying to say. No, we're still not going to get it. That's okay. The thing is, it seems to do a good job. I like to use the brush because then I can really get in those cracks and crevices, and I lay this stuff on thick, just like I do my tractor enamel. I just lay this stuff on thick because I want it to work. It does say you have to wait 24 hours before painting it. So here it is a day later. This is technically all ready for paint, but it's rained all day and it's supposed to keep raining the rest of the night. We've just got a little bit of break now, so I can't get any paint on it on this video. I know a lot of you are thinking, I can't believe he's starting another project, but I promise you, this isn't starting another project. This is one of those things that you just got to kind of pause what you're doing to get this taken care of, because we use the heck out of this truck for the channel and just for general usage. And if we don't get this stuff fixed and addressed, we're going to have some bigger problems in the long run. So I got to stop the fun projects to get this taken care of. We went ahead and ordered some new fuel tank straps too, because those are rust jacked. The cross member, the shocks, the fuel tank straps, they're all already shipped. So we're probably gonna have 2 pull videos, and then when that stuff comes in, we'll get all this painted, we'll get everything put back together and the new bed on, and then this will be back together and done with, and we can keep going with those fun projects. So while we're waiting for those parts to come in, we'll get back on the pool project, probably 2 videos on that. Back on this for a video, getting this finished back up so it's good in an operating condition again. Probably 2 more gym videos, back on the pool video, then maybe a dump truck video. Is that scheduling right? I think so. I've got the whole month scheduled out on what has to be filmed. It changes just a little bit depending on when parts come in and that type of thing, and the weather, of course. But normally I have every month planned out of what we're going to get done, project-wise, content-wise, and maintenance-wise. May not seem like it, but there's always a plan. It's never gone to plan, but by golly, it's there.